I was never the type to doubt. Never the type to check her phone, to ask too many questions, to play detective in my own home. I always thought that if someone wanted to leave, they would. If they wanted to betray you, you'd feel it before you ever saw the proof. I was wrong. I was so unbelievably wrong. Emily had always been good at hiding things. Little things. Surprises, presents, secret weekend plans. It was part of what made her exciting. She could keep a straight face, make you believe every word, never let a flicker of guilt betray her. But this time she was hiding something else. And I felt it. Not in a way I could explain. It was in the silences. In the way she kissed me before leaving but never when she returned. In the way she touched her phone like it was a lifeline, but only when she thought I wasn't looking. Still, I let it slide. I let it all slide, convincing myself that doubt was a poison worse than any truth. Then came the night everything unraveled. She was supposed to be working late. A client dinner, she said, throwing on a dress that didn't look like something you'd wear to meet an old man in finance. I didn't question it, not out loud, but something about the way she looked through me, not at me, made my stomach twist. I tried to distract myself, ordered takeout, put on a game, but my eyes kept drifting to the clock. 9 p.m., 10, 11, midnight. She wasn't answering her phone. Not once. And that wasn't Emily. She always texted, even if it was just a lazy love you or a picture of whatever overpriced cocktail she was sipping. But tonight, nothing. I told myself to go to bed, that I was being crazy. Then her iPad lit up. It was on the couch, face up, buzzing with a new notification. A photo. A whole reel of them, actually, sent from a name I didn't recognize. I wish I had never looked. I wish I had closed my eyes, turned off the screen, and gone to sleep believing my wife was exactly who I thought she was. But I didn't. I picked it up. I swiped open the message. And in an instant, 2 lives shattered by one photo reel that I don't remember how long I sat there, staring at the screen, my brain refusing to process what my eyes were seeing. It was like my mind was trying to protect me, delaying the inevitable collapse of everything I thought I knew. But there it was. Undeniable. The first picture was harmless enough. Emily sitting in the passenger seat of a car, her face turned towards the window, her lips slightly parted as if she was mid-laugh. A candid shot. Someone had taken it when she wasn't looking. But the second photo? That's when the ground started to split beneath me. Her hand, resting on a man's thigh, a thigh that sure as hell wasn't mine. The pictures kept coming, each one a new stab to the gut. A hotel room, dim lighting, her sitting on a bed, legs crossed, wearing the dress she left the house in. But now it was slipping off one shoulder. A mirror selfie of him standing behind her, his hand wrapped around her waist, fingers digging in like he owned her. And the worst one, the one that made my vision blur with rage. Emily kissing him, her hands in his hair, the same way she used to kiss me. I dropped the iPad onto the couch like it burned me. My breath was coming too fast, too sharp, like I couldn't get enough air. My body felt disconnected, like I was floating above myself, watching some other poor bastard's world fall apart. Then my stomach turned. I barely made it to the bathroom before I threw up everything I had eaten that day. When I came back, the iPad screen had gone dark, but the images were burned into my brain. I grabbed it, scrolled up, looking for something, anything, that would explain what the hell I was looking at. And then I saw the message attached to the photos. Figured you should know. That was it. No name, no explanation. Just those 4 words. My hands were shaking as I checked the sender's profile. It was a blank account. No photo, no posts, no information. A burner account. Someone who didn't want to be found. I didn't know what to do with myself. I stood in the middle of the living room, gripping the iPad so hard my fingers ached. My heart was pounding so loudly it drowned out everything else. And then, as if the universe was playing one last cruel joke on me, I heard the front door unlock. Emily was home. She stepped inside like nothing was wrong, tossed her keys onto the table, kicked off her heels, and sighed like she'd had a long, exhausting day, like she wasn't out there ripping our life apart behind my back. I stood frozen, gripping the iPad so hard my knuckles ached. My mouth was dry, my body coiled so tight I thought I might snap in half. But Emily? She didn't even look at me. She was scrolling through her phone, humming some song under her breath. Couldn't take it. Where were you? My voice came out rough, unsteady. She barely reacted. Just glanced at me, then back at her screen. Told you, client dinner. Why are you still up? My stomach churned. I felt sick just looking at her. I stepped forward, holding up the iPad, my hands trembling with rage. Client dinner, huh? I swiped the screen open, revealing the messages, the photos, him. I shoved it in her face. Then explain this. Everything stopped. Her whole body went still. The air in the room shifted, like a storm was about to break. I expected her to gasp, to start crying, to fall to her knees and beg for forgiveness. Something. But no. She blinked. Once. Twice. Then, slowly, so slowly, she lifted her eyes to mine, and for the first time in our entire marriage, I saw it. Zero guilt. Emily sighed, rolled her eyes, and then, with the absolute audacity of a woman who had just been caught red-handed, she muttered, "Wow, snooping through my messages now? That's low, even for you." I almost laughed. Almost. But the sheer insanity of what she had just said knocked the air from my lungs. I was the bad guy here? You're serious? My voice was shaking. That's what you're going with? She crossed her arms. It's not what you think. I scoffed. Oh, really? Because it looks exactly like you screwing around with some guy, while I sit here like an idiot waiting for you to come home. She rolled her eyes again, like I was being dramatic, like this was just some minor inconvenience in her night. Jesus, Ryan, stop being so emotional. You always do this. Overreacting before you even hear me out. I could feel my pulse hammering in my skull. My hands were clenched so tight I thought my nails might break the skin. Hear you out. I let out a bitter laugh. Fine. Go ahead, Emily. Tell me exactly what I'm looking at. Who the hell is he? She hesitated, just for a fraction of a second. And in that tiny pause I saw it. Panic. Then just as quickly it was gone. He's no one. I barked out a laugh. No one? So you just randomly sit on beds with strangers? Let them put their hands all over you? Kiss them? I took a step closer, my voice dropping. How stupid do you think I am? Her jaw clenched. It's complicated. It's really not. I shot back. You either cheated or you didn't. And those pictures. I pointed at the iPad. They tell me everything I need to know. She exhaled sharply, rubbing her temples like I was the one giving her a headache. God. Ryan, you are so exhausting. Do you really want to do this right now? I almost lost it. Yes, Emily, I growled. I want to do this right now. Right here. Right in this goddamn living room where you've been lying to my face for months. So tell me the truth. Right now. She looked at me then, and for the first time all night, I saw something crack beneath her mask. And then she said the most unbelievable thing I had ever heard. You weren't supposed to find out like this. I don't know what I expected her to say, but it sure as hell wasn't that. Not I'm sorry. Not it was a mistake. Not please, let me explain. No. You weren't supposed to find out like this. The sheer arrogance of it knocked the breath from my lungs. Like this was some kind of scheduling mishap. Like the problem wasn't the cheating, it was the timing. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set the iPad down before I launched it across the room. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Emily exhaled through her nose, tilting her head back like she was bored. Like this was just another one of our little arguments that she could roll her eyes through and talk her way out of. Ryan, please, can we be adults about this? Adults. I stared at her, really looked at her, and something inside me snapped. Adults. I repeated, my voice sharp, disbelieving. Adults don't sneak around in hotels, Emily. Adults don't let their husbands find out about their affair through some random goddamn message. Adults? My voice cracked, rage bleeding into something raw, something that hurt too much to name. Don't sit here and act like the only thing wrong is that I found out. Her mask slipped, just for a second, and I saw it again. Panic. But instead of guilt, instead of remorse, she got angry. You act like this is all my fault, she snapped, throwing her hands up. I blinked, actually stunned by the audacity. Your fault? Emily, who else's fault would it be? Did someone hold a gun to your head and make you? You don't get it. She cut me off, voice rising. You never get it, Ryan. We haven't been us for a long time. And you know it. I sucked in a sharp breath, my nails digging into my palms. So that was it. The excuse. The justification. The rewrite of history where I was somehow responsible for her screwing another man behind my back. Wow, I breathed. So that's what you've been telling yourself? That we haven't been working, so you decided to fix it by, what? Playing house with some random guy. Emily scoffed. Oh, don't be so dramatic. I laughed. A cold, bitter sound that tasted like bile. You are unbelievable, I said, shaking my head. Do you even feel bad? At all? She hesitated. For just a second. And that hesitation told me everything. My stomach twisted. My skin felt too tight. I ran a hand over my face, trying to breathe, trying to think, trying not to completely lose my mind in my own living room. And then a thought hit me. A cold, ugly thought that settled like a stone in my chest. How long? My voice was quieter now. Dangerous. Emily's lips pressed together. Ryan. How long? She hesitated. Then, without even a flicker of shame, she muttered, almost a year. The world tilted. I felt my knees threaten to give out, but I forced myself to stay standing. A year, 12 months, 52 weeks. All those nights she came home late. All those work trips. All those mornings she smiled at me across the breakfast table, kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me. All while she was screwing someone else. I thought I knew what betrayal felt like. I thought finding out was the worst part. But no. The worst part was realizing she had been gone long before I ever noticed. I took a step back, feeling like I might actually throw up again. My pulse was roaring in my ears. My hands clenched so tight they ached. You are disgusting, I said, my voice hollow. You, Jesus Christ, Emily, you let me sit here and believe we were fine. You let me... My breath hitched. I turned away for half a second, but then my eyes snapped back to her. Was it just him? Emily's face flickered. It was so fast, so quick I almost missed it. But I saw it, and that was all I needed. I laughed again, but this time it felt like something inside me was breaking. More than one. I whispered. She didn't answer. She didn't need to answer, because in that moment, I realized something even worse than the cheating. Emily wasn't sorry. She never had been. She never would be. And that was the moment I knew I would never look at her the same way again. Something inside me went numb, like my body shut down to protect itself from the sheer weight of what I had just learned. Almost a year, maybe longer, and more than one. I stared at her, my wife, the woman I had built a life with, and I felt nothing. No love.
No familiarity.
Just a stranger in my house wearing my wife's face. Emily shifted uncomfortably, her arms crossing over her chest. Ryan, can we just... I held up a hand. Don't. My voice came out eerily calm, which seemed to unnerve her more than my anger. I don't want to hear another word come out of your mouth. Her lips pressed together, but then, like the selfish, insufferable woman she was, she had the nerve to look offended. You're acting like I murdered someone, she scoffed. People cheat, Ryan. It happens. I blinked at her, stunned into silence for a long moment. It happens? I repeated, my voice low, dangerous. She actually had the audacity to shrug, like we weren't talking about our marriage, like she hadn't just detonated the last 8 years of my life with a smirk and a half-hearted excuse. Jesus Christ, I muttered, dragging a hand down my face. I can't believe I married a person like you. Emily's eyes flashed. A person like me? I snapped my gaze back to her. Yes, Emily. A liar. A cheater. A self-absorbed, selfish, manipulative. Oh, spare me the dramatics, Ryan, she interrupted, throwing up her hands. Do you think you were some perfect husband? Newsflash, you weren't. You never noticed when I was unhappy. You never cared that I felt alone. But sure, let's sit here and act like I'm the only problem. I felt something in my jaw crack from how hard I was clenching it. You never told me you were unhappy, I shouted. You never gave me a chance to fix anything because you were too busy screwing other men. Emily flinched, but instead of guilt, she rolled her eyes. Again. I swore if she did that one more time, I was gonna lose my mind. "You're so dramatic," she muttered. I took a step closer, my entire body vibrating with fury. "You stole years from me. You let me sleep beside you, love you, fight for you, while you were running around behind my back. And the worst part? You're not even sorry." That shut her up. For a second. Then she exhaled sharply, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Look, Ryan, what do you want me to say? That I regret it? That I didn't enjoy it? Because I'm not going to lie to make you feel better." My breath caught. She just admitted it. Blatantly. I actually felt my knees go weak for a second. "Wow," I breathed. "Wow." Emily groaned, like she was exasperated with me, and something inside me finally snapped. "Get out." She froze. "What?" "You heard me," I said, my voice cold. "Pack your shit and get out of my house." Emily's eyebrows shot up. "Ryan, let's not be hasty." I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Hasty? Emily, you have been cheating on me for a goddamn year. I think my patience has run out." She had the nerve, the absolute nerve, to look annoyed. "Ryan, it's late. I'm not going anywhere tonight." I inhaled through my nose, forcing myself to stay calm. "Then I will leave. But when I come back, you better be gone." Emily's expression shifted. "Ryan, come on. Don't do this. We can't do anything," I snapped. "I don't want to be married to you. I don't want to look at you. I don't even want to breathe the same air as you right now. So pack your shit and..." Then my phone rang. Both of us froze. The sudden sound cut through the tension like a blade, and for some reason, it sent a chill down my spine. I glanced at the screen. The number was unknown. I frowned but answered anyway. "Hello." Silence. Then a breath. And a voice I didn't recognize said, "Ryan, you don't know me, but you need to listen to me very carefully." I stepped away from Emily, my pulse hammering in my ears. The stranger's voice was low, urgent, and had that unmistakable edge of someone about to tell me something that would change everything. "Who is this?" I demanded, my grip tightening around the phone. A pause. Then, "My name doesn't matter. What matters is your wife. And the fact that she's been lying to you about way more than just the cheating." My stomach dropped. I turned to look at Emily. She was standing there, arms still crossed, eyes narrowed at me like I was the one in the wrong. "Ryan, hang up the phone," she said flatly. The calmness in her voice sent a ripple of unease down my spine. The man on the phone kept talking. "Listen, I know you're already pissed, and I don't blame you. But what if I told you this isn't just about an affair? What if I told you she's been lying about money, about where it's been going, who it's been going to?" My skin went cold. "What the hell are you talking about?" Emily moved then. Fast. She lunged for the phone, but I yanked it away just in time. "Are you serious right now?"
I snapped her.
"You don't get to tell me what to do." Her face darkened. "Ryan, hang up the phone." The man kept going, his voice sharper now. "Check your joint bank accounts. Right now. See for yourself." I hesitated, and that was all Emily needed. She snatched the phone from my hand in a blur and immediately ended the call. I grabbed her wrist. "What the hell was that?" "Nothing," she said too quickly, slipping the phone into her pocket. "Some psycho trying to stir shit up. Ignore it." Her voice was too steady, too controlled. It was the same tone she used every time she lied. But this time, I wasn't buying it. I turned on my heel and stormed toward my office, my mind spinning so fast I could barely keep up with my own thoughts. Emily ran after me. "Ryan, don't." I ignored her. I grabbed my laptop, my hands shaking, and opened our bank account. Emily hovered over me, every muscle in her body tight with panic. "Ryan, you're being ridiculous. Just stop." But I didn't stop, and 5 seconds later, my entire body went cold. The money was gone. Tens of thousands of dollars. Withdrawn in increments over the past year. The same time frame as her affair. I scrolled, my vision blurring with rage. Thousands here, thousands there, wired to an unfamiliar name. A man's name. I turned to look at her. "What the hell did you do?" Emily's face was pale, but she still had the audacity to straighten her shoulders and say, "It's not what you think." I slammed the laptop shut so hard the sound echoed through the house. You stole from me? I said, my voice eerily calm. From us. It's not like that. Who is he? I demanded, stepping toward her. She flinched, just slightly, then, barely above a whisper. He's the reason you got that call. The world tilted. I took a step back, actually dizzy now. What the hell does that mean? Emily swallowed, looked away, and then she said something that made my blood turn to ice. Ryan. He's not just some guy I slept with. I just stared at her, my breath shallow. Then who the hell is he? Emily lifted her chin, and for the first time since this started, she actually looked scared. He's someone you don't want to mess with. Everything in the room felt too sharp. The edges of the furniture, the light from the screen, the way Emily's breath came too fast. Like she knew she had run out of lies. He's someone you don't want to mess with. Her words echoed in my skull, but I refused to let them settle. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. Try again, Emily? I said, voice low and deadly. Who is he? She hesitated. That alone told me whatever the answer was, it wasn't good. I reached for my phone again. Fine. I'll find out myself. Emily lunged forward, grabbing my wrist. Ryan, stop. I yanked my arm free so hard she stumbled. You don't get to tell me what to do anymore. I snapped. You lost that privilege the moment you decided to play me for a fool. Her eyes darted around the room like she was searching for an escape, like an animal caught in a trap. Just listen to me. She tried again, but her voice had a crack in it now, a tiny fracture in her perfectly composed mask.
No.
You listen to me.
I stepped closer, looming over here.
You stole from me. You lied to me. And now some random guy is calling my phone warning me about you? You don't get to keep me in the dark anymore. Emily, you don't get to act like this is your story. It's mine now, and I'm done playing the idiot husband. She pressed her lips together so tightly they turned white. And then, just when I thought she'd keep up the act, she exhaled sharply and whispered, His name is Adam. The name meant nothing to me. Not yet. I didn't blink. And, Emily swallowed. And he's not just some guy I met. She hesitated, her nails digging into her palms. He's the one I was sending the money to. Rage exploded in my chest. Why? Emily flinched, but she didn't answer. I took another step toward her, my whole body vibrating with fury. Was he blackmailing you? Is that what this is? She shook her head. The alternative hit me like a sledgehammer. You were giving him my money? I realized, my voice hollow. Willingly. Emily closed her eyes. The betrayal was so deep I couldn't breathe. Jesus Christ, I whispered. How long? She hesitated again, and that hesitation made me want to put my fist through the nearest wall. Emily, how long? Her lips parted, but before she could say another word, my phone rang. Both of us froze. I checked the screen. Unknown number. Emily's entire body went rigid. I answered without thinking. Who the hell is this? A low, unfamiliar voice crackled through the speaker. Ryan, you need to leave the house. Right now. My blood turned to ice. Who is this? I demanded. The voice didn't answer. Instead, the line clicked dead. The silence that followed was suffocating. I stood there, the dead phone call still ringing in my ears, my entire body locked in place. The weight of everything, the betrayal, the lies, the money, the man, it was too much. My hands clenched around the phone so tightly I thought it might crack. Emily's face had drained of color. She knew something. She knew. And suddenly I didn't care about the affair. I didn't care about the money. What mattered now was that some stranger, some Adam, had just called me, told me to leave my own house, and hung up like a goddamn movie villain. My patience snapped. I stormed toward Emily, and for the first time all night, she actually took a step back. Who the hell is Adam, Emily? My voice came out low, sharp, barely controlled. And don't give me any more of your bullshit. You owe me the truth. She licked her lips, hands fidgeting at her sides, eyes darting toward the door like she was about to make a run for it. I blocked her path. Ryan, tell me the truth. Her breath hitched. Then, finally, she whispered, He's dangerous. I let out a harsh laugh. Oh, no shit, Emily. He's dangerous? Wow, thanks for the warning. What the hell did you get us into? She swallowed hard, her eyes flickering to the phone still clenched in my fist. "We should go," she said suddenly.
Ister daher.
"What? Ryan, please." She grabbed my wrist, her fingers digging in. "We need to leave. Now." Something about the way she said it made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Then, a car pulled into the driveway. Headlights flashed through the window, illuminating the room for a split second. Emily's grip on my wrist tightened. Her breathing turned shallow. "Ryan," she whispered. "It's him." The world slowed. My heart slammed against my ribs. "You have got to be kidding me." Emily's nails dug into my skin. "We need to go. Now." But my body refused to move. I was still processing. And then, before I could even make a decision, there was a knock at the door. Loud, slow, deliberate. I turned to Emily, and for the first time all night, I saw real fear in her eyes. The knock came again. Louder, slower, heavier. Every hair on my body stood on end. Emily was frozen. Her fingers were still locked around my wrist, but her eyes were glued to the door. Wide, terrified. This wasn't some random guy she'd been screwing. This wasn't just an affair. This was something worse. I ripped my arm away from her grasp. "You tell me what the hell is going on right now," I hissed. "Or I open that door myself." Emily grabbed my shirt. "Ryan, I am begging you. Do not open that door." A chill slid down my spine. I glanced at the front door. The silhouette of a man stood behind the frosted glass. Tall, broad, waiting for me. Another knock. This one wasn't patient. It was a demand. "Emily?" I said slowly, keeping my voice low, controlled. "Who is he?" Her breathing was uneven, her eyes darting around like she was looking for exits. He's someone I owe." A cold, sharp feeling twisted in my gut. Not someone she cheated with, someone she owed. My fingers curled into fists. "How much?" Emily hesitated. Then, barely above a whisper, "All of it." My heart stopped. "What?" She finally looked at me. "The money, Ryan," she said, her voice shaking. "All of it." My stomach dropped. Every single dollar I had seen disappear from our account. Every time she pulled out thousands at a time. It wasn't for some guy she loved. It wasn't some extravagant secret life. She had been paying off a debt. A massive, dangerous one. And now the debt collector was here. "Ryan," Emily whispered, tears welling up in her eyes for the first time all night. Please, don't let him in." I had never been more furious in my life. More betrayed. More done. But one look at her face, at the raw, shaking fear in her expression, and I knew one thing for certain. If I opened that door, my life would never be the same. And then, the doorknob turned. I didn't think. I just moved. As soon as I saw the doorknob turn, I grabbed Emily's arm and yanked her back. Just as the door swung open, a man stepped inside. Tall. Too tall. Broad shoulders. Black jacket. Hands in his pockets. But the way he moved made my instincts scream dangerous. His face was calm. Too calm. But his eyes were dead. He closed the door behind him like he owned the place. Emily's grip on my wrist was bruising now. The man glanced at her first. "Emily," he greeted, voice smooth. "I was starting to think you were ignoring me." She didn't say a word. Then his gaze shifted to me, sizing me up, calculating. "Ryan, is it?" he said like he was tasting my name. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. "Who the hell are you?" A slow, easy smile.
Adam.
My entire body went rigid. The name, the fucking name, that had been haunting me since the moment this nightmare started. I took a step forward, placing myself between him and Emily. "Get the hell out of my house." Adam exhaled through his nose, amused. "Your house." He tilted his head, his expression unreadable. "See, I don't think it is anymore." My stomach twisted. He turned to Emily. "Did you tell him?" Emily visibly flinched.
Adam tisket.
"Of course you didn't. You always did have a habit of leaving out the important details." I shot her a sharp look. "Tell me what?" Emily was shaking now. Actually shaking. And that's when Adam pulled something from his jacket. A folded stack of papers. He held them out. I hesitated, then grabbed them. My eyes scanned the words, legal jargon, numbers, signatures, until I hit the part that made my breath stop. Emily's name. My name. And at the top, property transfer agreement. My hands went ice cold. I looked up at Emily, horrified. You? My voice cracked. You signed my house over to him? Tears spilled down her cheeks. Ryan, I didn't have a choice. You had a choice, Adam said easily. You just made the wrong one. I could barely breathe. You stole from me. You cheated on me. And now you're telling me you fucking sold my house. Emily sobbed. I thought I could fix it before you found out. I let out a harsh laugh. Fix it? Emily, this is not a goddamn car engine. This is our home. This is my life. Adam clapped his hands together. All right, he sighed. This has been fun, but I have places to be. He turned to me, his expression turning sharp. You've got 24 hours to pack up and get out. I blinked. What? You heard me. His voice was calm. This house is mine now. Rage and disbelief clawed at my throat. This is my house. Not anymore. He tapped the papers in my hands. Legally binding contract. Signed by your wife. I turned to Emily. How could you do this to me? She covered her mouth with both hands, breaking down completely. But I didn't care anymore. I looked back at Adam, my blood boiling. I'm not going anywhere. Adam gave me one last look. And then, in the coldest, most detached voice I had ever heard, he said, Then I suggest you start sleeping with one eye open. And just like that, he walked out, leaving me standing in the ruins of a life I no longer recognized.